Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. Each day I have selected a composer who has a unique voice, something to say about choral music, and that would certainly be true of our composer today, Joelle Thompson, African-American composer, pianist, conductor, now lives in Atlanta and is working at Yale on his PhD. This is an amazing, wonderful young composer, and he's written some music that really speaks to our time. The piece I want to play a little bit for you first is from a recent piece called 7 Last Words of the Unarmed. It's a work for male voices and piano, though I believe there's going to be a mixed voices version coming out. When he composed it, he didn't intend that anyone was going to hear it. Now I read from this review in the New York Times. It was 2014. That summer, Michael Brown was shot and killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, and Eric Garner died in a chokehold during a botched arrest on Staten Island. Mr. Thompson, the composer, watched footage of Mr. Garner's death. He tried to find a way to channel his sadness and anger. Finally, he took the words of Mr. Brown, Mr. Garner, and 5 other unarmed black men who had been killed during encounters and set them to music for choir. A very unusual but very thoughtful idea. When he was finished, he put the piece away. He said he didn't think of himself as a composer back then. I didn't think anyone would want to hear it. But he said later he talked at that point to Eugene Rogers at the University of Michigan, who was definitely interested in the piece. And so the effect of it with just the piano doesn't give you the strength of what it really is. But I hope you can find the music and hear it sometime. 7 Last Words of the Unarmed. This is the last movement, Eric Garner. And you hear just this constant drone on C that the bass sings. And the text that the others sing is simply, I can't breathe. And that is repeated. It grows in intensity. It's a very powerful, moving work. the closing movement of Seven Last Words of the Unarmed by Joel Thompson. He also composed a piece that's, I think, a gorgeous setting of those words of Emma Lazarus. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. It combines that with words of Langston Hughes in a piece that he called America Will Be. And after the text of Langston Hughes comes a soprano solo with the choir underneath, a cappella, singing the words, give me your tired, your poor. And it goes on with that whole text and finally brings at the end the words of Langston Hughes back. Well, Joelle was here in Minneapolis earlier this year, 2020, when, as part of the Vocal Lessons Witness Concert, he was commissioned to write a piece called Who Will Be a Witness? And of course, there's a familiar African-American spiritual, and that piece was performed at Orchestra Hall. My associate, Philip Schultz, conducted, and is an amazing, full piece. Many people have set Witness, and his particular setting has so much drive and power. Now, you'll notice I have put these pages up like this. One of the challenges of sitting at the keyboard, of course, and something we never learn when we are taking piano lessons is, if you're accompanying or playing the piano, how do you turn a page and still keep the rhythm going? Well, there isn't any one way to do it. And I've just learned by experience how to make this all happen. So in this particular case, I took some pages, made a photograph of what I had so that I could move quickly and not pause at the end of each page and interrupt the flow of the piece. So here is the beginning of it, and there's some wonderful kinds of chords. I'm going to stop a little bit so that you hear some of the great sound that he was able to get. And here. And then as it comes to the end and it changes key and we're into the grand, I will be a witness for my Lord. Music of Joelle Thompson. Have a wonderful day.